Hi everyone, I am Ron Allen.
And I'm Julie Allen, and welcome to our first episode of StoryMakerU. This is our first show that we're doing, and the goal of the show is really to connect with our customers and connect with you and get to know our audience out there. And so, thank you for joining us. Our goal is really to help everybody out there become the best version of themselves and live out the dreams of their life.
Essentially, we believe that self-development is more or less the key to building the dreams you love. And so thank you for being here. We're also pushing this out on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So combined with that, our internet connection is a little bit slow right now. So if we're a little bit jumpy or whatever, it's our connection, not us, but that's okay. If you have any questions while we're doing this, feel free to type them in. We'll be checking in from time to time on what those are. And welcome.
So let's just go ahead and jump right in. The question we really want to answer for you, for our listeners, and this is a question we get a lot from our clients that come to work with us on coaching, is, why do I need to know my purpose? And what's the benefit of knowing my purpose? And what's the value it can bring to me in my life? Can I just go through life without knowing my purpose? Or why is it important? And so we wanted to really answer that question, since it comes a lot when the clients come to work with us. And so one of the things that I first think of that comes to mind in terms of why there's value behind knowing your purpose is really that it's your anchor in life. It's really what keeps you grounded and keeps you from being tossed to and fro from everything that the world has out there in terms of the people we interact with, the choices we have in careers, building a family together with the ones we love. It's really something that is internal to us, and it brings depth to our life. It brings depth internally, and then it's expressed externally to the world we live in. So that's, to start with, it's just really an anchor.
Yeah, and pretty much everything you do should tie back to what those purpose areas are. In short, it's kind of like, your analogy of your anchor. An anchor in nautical terms, you can use to basically hold you in place so you don't get pulled around or drift into a dock, an obstruction, something like that. But it's also, when you're out in blue water, essentially you can drop a sea anchor, and that'll give you some stability. It'll help you slow you down, help you get your bearings on what you need to do. So anchor is a really good analogy, both the hold fast that keeps you in place, but also what slows you down and helps you keep your bearing and figure out where you are.
Yes, and when we talk about this, Ron and I were just having this discussion a lot this week, which is you really do kind of have this spectrum, this full spectrum of where you, on one end, won't know your purpose at all, and you'll be kind of lost. Maybe you'll be like a lost cub or an ostrich who's burying his head in the sand, who's just avoiding the question. To, on the other far end of the spectrum, you would be somebody who's living their purpose. Their whole life is their goals, and everything that they do day to day is driven by what brings meaning to their life and what gives them purpose, and the why behind why they are here. So that there's that full spectrum. And then in between, you have people who are maybe wandering, or they're kind of playing and dabbing with things that are related to what their purpose is. Then they might be learning, but there's this kind of like stepping stone and maturity model around where you might be at one point on the far end, which we all at some point are that person who's lost and has no idea, hasn't even really thought about the question, but when we get to that next level where we start wandering or playing or learning, then it could be at any age in your life, right? So, but the goal is ultimately to be able to live a full, meaningful life that taps into your full potential and gives you purpose in life, right?
Well, and as you pass through this maturity model that Julie just kind of teased out a little bit, this matrix that basically covers a lot of different things. So as you move from the person that's lost to the person that kind of actually knows what your purpose is, you're also going to have this gradient of your confidence level is going to increase, your passion level is going to increase. But the other side is, if you're lost, basically your ego a lot of time will get in the way, and your overall ego influence over what you do is actually going to diminish as you make that progression. So
Right, right. So, yeah, one of the things that I think that everyone shares in terms of their purpose, like we all have a different purpose in life, right? Like we're all here, we're very unique and original, each one of us. We don't have the same handprint, right? So we're all unique. But I think that there are certain elements of being a human being that we all share, right? We all have thoughts and feelings, and we have certain ways that we operate. But one of the common elements we were discussing that seems to be pretty much the same no matter what purpose you have is generally we're here to serve each other. We're here to serve humanity. And even the greatest thought leaders of all time come to this conclusion on their own as well. It's a very shared, common model of thinking, which is that we are here for the benefit of others, not for the benefit of just ourselves. And people like Martin Luther King or Albert Einstein, they all have similar quotes that fall in line with this idea of we're really here to serve each other. And there's the other way you could think, well, why can't I just be here to serve myself? Well, you can be, but are you going to get much meaning and thought and depth to your life? Are you able to live a fulfilling life if you're just here serving the needs of yourself?
no, I was thinking about that too, and the overall Uber purpose is, yes, to serve other people, but it's more that exploration of what does that look like for you. So everyone has basically the same goal to serve other people, but it's more, how are you actually going to serve the poor, serve people in other countries, serve people in your community? Are you going to help educate or entertain them or protect them? So it's more that implementation of how are you going to ultimately serve people that is really what you should be searching for.
Right. That's the open-ended question in terms of, how are you going to do it, right? And who are you going to target? Who's your population of people you really want to help? So there's these kind of open-ended questions. But then, coming back more to the benefits of why is it important to know our purpose. So that's this one of them, which is, having a more fulfilling life, right? And having more meaning and depth to your life that starts intrinsically and then is expressed extrinsically in the world. So some of the other things that we wanted to share is the idea of motivation. And there's lots of, it's $1 million industry out there, right? People are doing seminars and webinars, and
I'd put it more in the billions, but yeah.
Probably, yeah, more like billions in terms of motivating you to do something and to get out there and make a living and earn more money and make more and do more, right?
So but I'm just going to cut you off right there, actually, because a lot of people go to it's my purpose to make money so that I don't look at money as a purpose. Money is really just a tool to help you do whatever your purpose really is. Money is not the goal. So, right. We can attest that. We've both had jobs that paid considerably higher than what we're doing right now, but this is more fulfilling. This is more fun. And I guess that's part of finding your purpose is it shouldn't feel like work. So if you have a job that you dread going to every morning, you complain about the commute, you complain about your coworkers, and you just can't get things done or get too into your work, maybe you should be doing something else.
Right, right. And so, if you know your purpose, that is your motivation. It will drive you. It will wake you up in the morning so you're enthusiastic to start each day. It will be your inspiration for the goals that come next in your life and be this kind of goal machine for you, which will generate new goals day to day and through every step of where you are with your purpose. So it is your motivator. You don't really need to spend a lot of money motivating yourself. That will be your motivator. Now, I do want to come back to this one one thing about that is that you may have multiple purposes in life. It's not we're not necessarily trying to
Yeah, it's definitely not the
be
singular.
in
Yeah.
favor of saying that you only have one purpose and you need to do that and you need to live that your entire life. Your purpose will change. Your main purpose in life will change, with each, age. It could be different ages of your life, or it could be different stages of your life or whatnot, but that will likely change. I mean, there's also little smaller purposes in terms
Yeah.
of what you do with every moment of your time and what you're doing in that moment. But in terms of the larger big idea of why are you here on the larger scope of things, it's likely that you'll have one main one at every point in time that can shift and change as you get older.
Well, as you go through that point in time, so if you have and identify what your purpose is when you're, say, 20 years old, just picking a random number now. So you identify your purpose, you're 20 years old, and you just immerse yourself in it. You learn as much as you can about it, you're absorbing, it's occupying your free time. Fast forward 10 years, you're now 30, you have your knowledge, and you start mastering that knowledge. You're still working on that same purpose. And then you get to, say, 40, and that's the point where it's like, I now have 20 years experience, I really enjoy what I'm doing, I'm going to keep doing this. It's now my turn to share the knowledge that I have acquired over the last 20 years with other people. So you kind of transition into that mentor role. And then fast forward another 10 years and you're 50. Now all of a sudden you're the guru. You're the one that's getting a $20,000 speaking engagement, because as soon as you start talking on that purpose area, people are just going to be glued to you saying like, okay, I really want to listen to this guy now. So
Right. And
it's
our roles,
it's the same purpose that whole time.
yes. Yeah, and our role will change especially if you do have one purpose that you tend to be on track with through the continuum of your life. Then it's likely that you'll move from the beginner to the learner to the expert and so forth. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of different stages that apply to that, which is also another benefit, especially if you do have a lifelong purpose that you followed through the life of yourself. So other things about purpose is that not only will you be more motivated if you are committed to a purpose, but you also have more flexibility, you'll be more agile, you'll be able to work around obstacles with greater ease, because if you're living if you're living a life that is not driven by your purpose, you're probably not going to be committed to that for very long. You're going to lose interest, and whenever little obstacles come up or challenges come up, it's even easier for you to give up and to lose interest in what you're doing and move on to some other thing that you're searching for.
Because at that point, it's really just the same as the New Year's resolution problem, where everyone's like, okay, January 1st, I'm going to start doing all this stuff. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to eat better. And 2 weeks later, they're back on the couch, binge watching something on Netflix. It's kind of like, if you can't have a goal or a passion or a purpose around what you're trying to change, then it's just going to be a little hobby you're going to do for a couple of weeks or a month or maybe even a year, and then it'll just drop off to the side.
Yeah, actually, you bring up a good point around, these New Year's resolutions and little goals. So when you have a larger life purpose that you're living and standing by, then other parts will come together in terms of your life also, such as you'll want to take better care of yourself. You'll want to spend more time on your health, which sounds contradictory since you're serving others, but you'll realize that by taking care of yourself and filling yourself up with your own inspiration through things that inspire you around your purpose, that you'll want to live longer and take better care of yourself, so you feel better by eating better and exercising and taking care of your health, so that you can be more prepared and ready to execute your day-to-day activities that are expressing your purpose, right? So you'll be wanting to do more of that. And so it kind of is a domino effect. It affects your entire scope of your life in terms of how you think about your caretaking, how you think about your caretaking of others as well as yourself. And so all these other little goals start to come in alignment as well. And you'll start to see, wow, I'm actually I'm sleeping better, I'm eating better, I'm trying to get other little day-to-day exercises done, or I'm trying to get, take care of the house better, or get things out of the way more and get those done, the working stuff that you have to do, that's, day-to-day required stuff, so that you can spend more time on expressing yourself and your purpose.
Well, and then another benefit of that too that you should touch on, it's your purpose. If you're working on it, you'll start getting this glow about you. You'll have this passion around it. And then the people in our environments around you are going to start noticing that too. And it's kind of like, okay, there's something different about how you're doing things. What do you have dialed in that I don't? But then, as you mentioned, even on the health side, there's sort of the secondary benefit when, say, someone in the house has a medical need. So something that we can speak to is that it's like if there's someone in the house that has severe reaction to gluten, and then as a family you decide, okay, we're going to cut down gluten from our overall diet. Well, there's several people in the house that still, it's not a factor for, but it's still helping them out because, well, it's slightly healthier food. So
True. So you're not only benefiting yourself by living your purpose, you're also benefiting everyone around you, because now you are just a happier person. You're glowing, like Ron said. You have a kind of intoxicating way about you that's contagious to everyone around. You become more positive. You're living your values, right? You're living your authentic self in this place. And so everyone is interested and fascinated by this. They want to watch, they want to learn, they want to they want to be a part of it, right? It's very exciting. So it's great that you are not only benefiting yourself, but now you're also benefiting those you come in contact with as well.
well, and that glow, because, sorry, I peeked at your notes. You have this expression basically says riding the wave, and that kind of is what
Right.
feels into it.
Yes.
So as a surfer, that's one of the best feelings you can get is you paddle out, you get beat up while you're going through the surf a little bit, you get outside the break, you're getting ready to get on a wave. Once you do, you make that first drop. It's that stoke that you feel even after you're no longer on that wave, that adrenaline rush, the endorphins, everything's kicking in and just saying, this is where I need to be. It's almost that natural high that if you're working in that purpose area, you should really feel.
It is definitely a natural high. Yes, you really touch on it. And you're riding a wave, which for me, it can be difficult sometimes, because sometimes I don't know how to get off the wave or slow down, because my mind is always trying to create or think of new things or new ideas. And so sometimes it's hard for me to wind down and just turn off, because I'm so excited and enthusiastic about the work we're doing. But yeah, and coming back to this natural high, I wanted to touch on the fact that when you don't know your purpose, you are at risk of a lot of other negative experiences in your life. You become a higher risk for you using drugs and alcohol as an alternative high to get to that point, which we all crave, this enthusiasm, this enlightenment, this exciting way of living a life. We crave that. We need adventure in life. When you're living your purpose, you are living an adventure every day. When you are lost and you don't know what your purpose is, you still crave that adventure and that excitement and enthusiasm. So you turn to alternative means to find it, which could be drugs and alcohol, or you just become prey for negative experiences in your life.
But that's just then temporary. It's just a Band-Aid. It's like, I want to feel this high. I don't know how to do it. You do that, and then tomorrow it's kind of like, okay, I still don't know where I am. So you can't sustain like that. It's not healthy.
Right. You get wrapped up in negative thoughts and negative beliefs, and you start believe. You have less confidence in yourself. You just you're kind of stuck. Like, you might feel that way sometimes, like you're just stuck, right? Or just feeling like there's more to life and not fulfilled, and wondering what else is there. And so these kind of, it's a really quite a different way to think about your life.
And so we've been talking about the benefits of knowing what your purpose is, but then that begs a whole exploration around how do I find out my purpose? So that's actually going to be episode 2 that we're going to be running about 11:30
Yes,
today. So
11:30. Yeah.
make sure you tune in for that one, because we'll actually be talking about tools or thinking processes to help you get to that point of what is my purpose.
So we wanted to go just for a 30-minute run here. I'm going to take a break and just let Ron go ahead and check to see if there's any questions that might be coming from the community in terms of, so if you do have some questions, please, this would be a great time to write them in the chat for Facebook or for YouTube, and just let us know if you have anything that you wanted to talk about. And we have had some people who brought questions, and some of the practice runs that we've brought too, so we could bring those to the table.
Right. Well, so far online, everyone's being nice and quiet, so but that's okay.
But we do want to hear from our
Once you get to know us, it'll be easier to ask the questions.
Yeah, we'd love to hear what your thoughts of this and how where you are in the journey, because it really is a journey. This is not something that you're born the day the day you're born knowing why you're here, or how you should live your life, or why we're here. These are all questions that we struggle with our whole life, and everyone has this question come to them, and it just depends on how much we really listen and try to answer the question for ourselves. But we all have that question. I don't think that you can go through life without not asking yourself, what's the meaning of life, and why am I here, and what's my purpose? And so,
well, it's also part of that exploration where at times you'll hear this little inner voice. So teaser for future episode as well. It's that inner voice that'll be sort of your guide once you find that purpose, or even help you to identify the purpose. Once you start becoming aware, then it'll kind of be a bit of a guide when you do stuff.
True, yeah. So you will be tapped into an inner wisdom or inner voice when you are aligned with your purpose. You become a little more intuitive. You develop something of a sixth sense, some people might say, or your conscious you become more aware. Your gut instinct, all these kind of ways of referring to what I'm describing here, will kick in a little bit more, and you'll just be wiser because you know why you're here, why it's important, and you know what you're going to do every day.
Well, and it's kind of like I said, you're wiser because when you're in that space, you have that internal voice in your head that's guiding you. And if you don't know which one that is, it's kind of like when you have a thought and it sounds smarter than you, that's probably that internal voice you should listen to.
Yeah, he's described that a few times. Yeah. I think that's a really good one.
It's like, there's a thought, but it's like, it's too smart for what I would come up with on my own. I should listen to that one.
Yeah. And so, we talked about how you're just going to be more zealous, more creative. You're going to be the best version of yourself. I mean, this is what we talk about. You've maybe heard this before, of becoming the best version of yourself. But this is what that means. This means living your purpose. This means waking up every morning enthusiastic, ready to get out of bed, and excited about the day. Like, just a whole different perspective on life in terms of addressing and your attitude towards every day and towards life, instead of begrudgingly crawling out of bed or hitting snooze 10 times, or not really having that drive to jump up and just get started.
Well, and it's also the analogy of a car. So you can't just get a car and think of that as your purpose. You can't just use it and then everything's going to be good. You have to maintain it. You have to put gas in the tank. You have to change the oil. You have to give it checkups. You have to basically do maintenance on it. So same with the purpose. Still keep adjusting and fine-tuning and figure out where you need to go. It's not a finish line. As Julie said, it's a journey. You need to keep working on that. Yeah.
So it takes an investment of time, for sure. And we'll talk more about that in the next show that's coming up at 11:30. We're going to take a little break here in a couple minutes. Yep. But do we have any questions that might have come in that we can quickly answer? Or
no, people are being shy.
Do you check YouTube too?
Yeah. No, I'm checking both.
Oh, I don't know if they do YouTube. So.
No,
Okay, great. So let's see. Last thing I wanted to mention is that when you are also living your purpose, you are going to be taking risks, and you're not living in your comfort zone. And so that might be hard for some people who really like to live in a comfortable place in life. But when you are living your purpose, life begins outside of the comfort zone. And that's kind of one of my beliefs, right? I do believe that if you're living in a life of comfort, then you're not really living the full life. You're not fully alive or fully awake to your life around you. Part of you is asleep still.
Well, and that comfort zone is kind of like a big warm blanket on a winter day. It's one of my personal things that I like to do is do at least one thing a day that actually gets you outside of your comfort zone, where it's a new exploration of, maybe it's something you're trying to learn, maybe it's a new person you're trying to reach, maybe it's just, doing karaoke one night or something like that. Just something outside your... I don't do karaoke, by the way. But just
He likes to watch.
Just do one thing outside of your comfort zone. And just try and do at least one thing outside that comfort zone every day.
Yeah. So one thing that can be a limiting belief for people around discovering their purpose and living that life is just the belief that they don't deserve it. And I want you to know that we all deserve to live a full, meaningful life. You deserve this. You absolutely deserve this. We actually, I believe that we deserve all good things in life. And so this is one of the best things you can have. And it's available to everyone. I mean, it's free. Yeah. It doesn't cost anything.
Well, it's kind of like that Jim Carrey quote that you told me about
yes,
how his father was an accountant and hated his job. His father was actually a comedian that was really good. That's kind of where Jim Carrey got all of his inspiration from. But his dad ended up working as an accountant because it's what people thought he should do. It wasn't his purpose. It wasn't his passion area.
Right, yes.
So what was the quote on that?
Yeah, well, it wasn't really a quote, just a story, but
it's more of an idea.
Yeah, so, I mean, Jim Carrey, his dad was an inspiration to him. He learned to be a comedian through his dad, who was also a natural comedian, but he never pursued it as an art or a career because he was conditioned and pressured to live a more comfortable life and secure life, which he believes was more secure. And so he went down the road of becoming an accountant. Can you imagine a comedian becoming an accountant? Anyway, that's what happened to Jim Carrey's dad. And what happened, though, later on in life, when he was still a child, I think he was like, 10 years old, his father lost his job. And so Jim Carrey thought, wow, I guess if you live a life, you can lose. You can fail at what you don't want in life. So you might as well go after what you do want in life. And I just thought that was so wow to me. That was such a mind-blowing thought to me. Like, wow, yes, it's true. You can fail at what you don't want in life, right? And a lot of us go after what we don't want because we go after what the world tells us we should do, which may be from our parents or other people who influence us, or just what we see in the media. And so we end up going down the wrong road. And then we fail. And then we go, wow, I failed at that. So why don't you just go after what you do want?
And ultimately, if you do pursue what you want to do, eventually you'll be your own unique person. You won't be this drone in this army going to the corporate world. If working in the corporate world is your purpose, I'm not saying anything against that. A lot of people do great in that space. But it's kind of like the internet meme you see. It's like, why try to fit in when you were built to stand out? Mm-hmm. So you need to just be yourself, and finding that purpose will definitely help you move that direction.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us. And we would still like to hear from you. If you have other comments or questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We can also get back to you after the program is done. And again, this was our first episode. So thank you so much for being here. And we will be back in another 30 minutes at 11:30 for the next part, which is about how to discover your purpose.
Find it,
How do you discover your purpose? So we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you.